I think right now we're living through the largest adoption of technology that we will ever see in human history, right now. And we can all be a part of it, and we can all invest in it in the blockchain. I'm getting excited just talking about this. So I think anybody who's even looking at this space or watching content about this space is in an incredible space right now to invest in it. And I still think there's a lot of people that are still 5 years away from understanding that this will change everything in the world, everyone's life, and it's just so exciting. I was speaking with my mom the other night. She's 76 years old. She's in San Diego, California. She owns property. That's what she invested her money in, and that's how she makes an income. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks ago that she now owns Ethereum, because I sent her some on MetaMask, and I actually sent her some stablecoin. And when she heard about the stablecoin, she said, "Wow, it's just like $1." And I said, "Yeah, Mom, it's just like $1." And she said, "Wow, I can see this value." Again, she understands owning assets, and she understands the yield on those assets. And so for my mom, for example, if she understands she's taking on the risk of a blockchain, she also understands that you can potentially get that reward. And so if you go to a yield swapping platform, typically a decentralized exchange like Compound or Aave, you can now lend those coins with a smart contract, decentralized protocol, a piece of code basically, that allows you to get a yield back, and that says you'll get your coins back. And that is a way that people can partake in these extra yields. I encourage everyone to take $10 or $20 and try these protocols, because not only is this potentially a good yield, but this is the future of money. This is you having a relationship with your money. And so, even if you lose the $10, the education alone that you'll get, and that education you can pass on to your children and grandchildren, it's invaluable. I mean, it's amazing what you can do. So that's the way people would engage with this. And again, the regulation is changing on a daily basis. And it's interesting to see what's going on with the regulation, and I've got my opinions about that as well.
Yeah, I think I saw an article about how banks were criticizing these stable coins and yield swaps, and I wonder why, right?
The stable coins, they really hit home at these banks. They are threatening the bread and butter of centralized banking institutions. Even if you go down to a basic retail savings bank on the corner, it's always curious how that space, can own that property, and they always have the beautiful lobbies and the beautiful technology. You are paying for that through your lack of return that you're getting on your investment. And so it's a big thing to be scared of for the central banks.
So, when someone puts their money into a stable coin, it's kind of analogous to a CD, right? A certificate of deposit, but the yield is just there.
Yeah, say for example, I have $100. I've got, for example, two options. I can put that $100 in my savings account at my local bank. I can buy a short-dated money market instrument where I lock that up for 90 days, which is like a CD where I get a slightly higher yield. Or I could swap it into USDT and put it on a platform like Aave and get potentially a 3 or a 4% yield return on that. It's economics, and right now, for the very first time, the consumer can see the value. And again, these platforms are decentralized, so there's no bank that can sit in the middle and take all of this spread. And again, say Aave isn't doing a very good job or Compound isn't doing another job, guess what? You got Pancake Swap and Sushi Swap and Dog Swap all trying to eat their lunch for them and providing you better rates and better returns and better technology. It's innovating at the speed of light right in front of our eyes. And there's nobody behind the curtain. There's nobody telling you that you're not smart enough to understand this. So that always means value for the consumer. Whenever, that's capitalism at its finest. And again, that's why Amazon was successful and Google was successful and Facebook was successful. And that's why I think ultimately these platforms will replace, their banking equivalents. So if you're going to engage with these markets, if you're going to allow your brain to start understanding these concepts and to get involved, well, you've started taking an active participation in your financial future, which means by definition now you're going to be making decisions about where your wealth goes, which means you have now become more of an investor and potentially a trader. And so I would say to everybody, decide right now, what do you want to do? I encourage people to first start by trying and experimenting with these instruments, because it's going to change your future regardless. The next thing I tell people to do is to try a strategy where they look at a very, very small number of instruments. I call it my 10 coin rule. So I don't think you can process it as a brain bandwidth more than 10 coins. That's probably too much for most people, less than 5. Yeah. And experiment with those for a while and try trading those once a month. Try putting those positions on once a month. Put your stop losses in, which means you already know your maximum downside. Put your profit-taking strategies in when you start. Don't allow yourself to make emotional decisions. And see how that goes for the 3 months or 6 months. And start to build your emotional character when it comes to being a trader. That's what I advise people to do. And so we're looking at something that we can all invest in. Again, it's very easy to get caught up in the market moves and the generational wealth you can create for yourself, which I think is great. But also, there's an amazing service to be done, and I think both can be done at the same time. Andrew Carnegie said, financial motive must prevail, and I do think you have to do both at the same time, and you can do both at the same time, and you should at the same time. So invest in these ecosystems, create generational wealth for yourself, and the same process, you're going to create all this incredible infrastructure for people around the world that's already making a difference. Imagine 10 years from now, you know, some of these places in Asia, West Africa, some of these places in South America, imagine those people with access to just a digital value storage, let alone lending and borrowing, let alone access to financial markets for investment. Imagine, it's going to make the world an incredible place.